This is The Unstarving Musician. I'm your host, Rabanzo. On this podcast, I have conversations with independent music artists and industry professionals intended to help indie artists be better at marketing, business, the creative process, and all the other things that empower us to do more of what we love: make music. Would you like to help other independent musicians find this podcast? Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast service. It really helps. The Unstarving Musician podcast is made possible through the generosity of listeners like you. One of the easiest ways to offer support is to join the Unstarving Musician community. Just go to unstarvingmusician.com and join right there on the homepage. As a member, you'll receive from me tips and lessons you can use in your music journey. And this isn't just coming from me and my years of experience as a gigging musician. It also comes from the wisdom of hundreds of other musicians I've talked to as part of the Unstarving Musician project and podcast. You'll also get a free copy of the Unstarving Musician's Guide to Getting Paid Gigs ebook, and that's all free just for being part of the community. To learn more about other ways of offering your support for the podcast, please visit our sponsor page at unstarvingmusician.com/crowdsponsor. Greetings, muchachos. It is a pleasure to be here with you again for another episode. My guest this time is Lara Price, who I met in the San Francisco Bay Area long ago. She's an insanely talented singer-musician. She has a new podcast called In the Trenches with Lara Price, on which she says she discusses her own mental health. She catches up with friends and talks about Black Lives Matter. Matters. Her latest album, I Mean Business, was released way back in 2016, but man, is it still good. Please check it out. You can hear what I'm talking about when I tell you she is a great singer. This conversation is the third and final installment of an episode that I did as research for my recent article on Forbes.com. There will be a link in the show notes, but you can also Google 6 skills all indie musicians need today, and maybe include my name, Rabanzo, or Forbes or something like that. And so Lara and I cover questions and claims that I had for the article, and also that I discussed with Ariane Kapp and Mark Phoenix in prior episodes. Links will be in the show notes for those as well. I also had the discussion with Wendy Colonna, but she's another wonderful Austin-based singer-songwriter, fine musician. Unfortunately, due to my own shortcomings, the conversation was not recorded. So maybe we'll have a redo sometime, I hope. Because Lara and I have gotten to know each other fairly well, or at least we're comfortable chatting with one another. We get a little off topic. We talk about COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement happening in the U.S. and about releasing a single, something that's going on in my life or that's in progress. So it is somewhat off topic, but I left those threads in this episode. They'll give you a little insight into our heads and hopefully something you can use in your world. Okay, here is me and Lara Price. One of the things I contend is that, without a solid following and a good web presence, musicians nowadays have little to no hope of getting the attention of PR, artist management, other types of management, or artist development, or even label professionals. What do you think about that, and how much does it matter? Those people, anyway.
I think it is really difficult right now, and one of the things that one of my fellow musician friends is doing is he's studying how algorithms work on Spotify and Facebook.
Yeah.
and making it data based, and I think it's a deep conversation that I don't know enough about to speak on, but I think it's a really good idea. One of the things, as far as trying to get a presence out there, when you go into music thinking I want to make it big, it's not going to really. I don't know that that's the right way to look at it. If you get into music because you love it and basically with every fiber of your body, you can't not do it. Like I've worked my whole life based on how I can play music and how I can get it out there as much as possible, play live, make music however I can. Even now under quarantine, I'm writing a lot of music, and it's been really awesome. So I think it's the wrong approach to go into it thinking I want to make it big.
Sure. And when you brought up the Spotify, Facebook algorithms, I guess that plays in because I mentioned social media. And were you commenting on just that little element, that degree of difficulty that's added to the whole thing of trying to get noticed?
It's both. I think that if you do some research on what makes how you can get into that algorithm, like for instance, a real simpleton thing that I learned the other day was that Facebook wants users to do Facebook Live. So when you do the more you do Facebook Live, it puts you in an algorithm that's going to then put you in front of your 5,000 friends in quotes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they want you to use it more. I learned that the other day from another podcaster and social media person. And so that little piece of information, I didn't know that.
It's interesting.
So I've been trying to tell my musician friends, like, hey, instead of putting YouTube on Facebook doesn't want YouTube. They won't play it. So, it's not going to play automatically when you scroll on the feed. So if you do Facebook Live, it will put you in front of your people more often than the YouTube link that you posted.
I know. And it's like, if you want to do YouTube, go do YouTube and focus it there, because
it'll be
better than,
Yeah. I don't even have a YouTube presence, and I know it's important. There's just so many things to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's nuts.
You can't do them all.
That I know. That's been a recurring theme for sure. And when I share that just for the damn podcast, much less now I'm actually recording at home for the first time. I'm writing music again for the first time in over 20 years. So,
nice, huh?
Yeah, it's great. It's funny. It was just coincidental for me. I had, I was already moving that way. I guess, what being stuck at home did for me was it got me away from, playing out live and rehearsing. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy some gear and record. So,
right.
fun.
It's helped a lot of musicians actually listen to music that they want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Where before you were learning music to play a gig or refreshing your originals for a gig, and now you don't have those gigs, so you're replacing it with listening, with learning, with I started up drum lessons again.
Nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, I love drums. And did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. And the next one is, and we already started touching on it, but and you'll notice kind of a pattern in these contentions of mine, and what I'm trying to paint is a picture of the, today's artist has to be educated on a lot of new things and a lot more things than they used to, and it kind of culminates in a longer career arc, but one with a lot more opportunities at the end. So,
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. So one of the things, another area that I'm talking about is that artists that are savvy about branding have a huge leg up, and I'm connecting that to community building because with the platforms like anything from Facebook to Patreon and some of the things like Bandzoogle and Bandcamp are doing, where you can build these communities. There's an element of branding and sort of projecting, amplifying more of yourself, and giving these things to your community. What do you think that's true, and to what extent?
I think that music in general is to me has always been community building, just by nature. I'm not the artist that's holed up in my bedroom writing songs all the time. Well, now I am, but before I wasn't. And I think that I've kind of parlayed my career lately into podcasting to talk to other musicians about their experiences, and I think that's community building. And it's just adding another layer, like you said, of tools that I have in my box when we get out of quarantine to have for the larger picture. And I think that musicians, we're always constantly thinking of new ways to create ourselves, to be relevant and it's all about content. And so I think that all those platforms that you talked about, some of them I don't even know what they are.
Just,
So you got, and I'm gonna, after we got done here, I want to look up what they are. I
yeah.
I've kind of kept my fires burning, I guess, from just providing content, keep putting content out there into my fans, and as far as community building, like make contests for your fans or do things that get your fans involved. Like, for instance, I'm doing a bunch of mini songs. I'm selling them for $30 and I'm giving them back to my musician friends who don't have work right now. And so basically the fan gets a personalized song written by myself for a person of their choice, and they give me a subject. And then I crank out like a 30-second to 1 minute song, and they get that. And it's very it's been really fun. It's a win-win. It's a songwriting exercise. It's paid, and then the fan gets to like participate.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
So
very neat.
yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm a little bit behind the curve as far as like, I've heard of Bandcamp. A bunch of my friends are on it. It kind of goes in line with like, if you are you releasing a record? I mean, if you are releasing a record, then you need to find out, do all those things.
Yeah.
You really do. I mean, that's the other half of it. Once you release the record, the really hard part is getting it out there and getting it in front of people. So as far as branding goes, if you don't have those skills, I go to school and learn them, or find some of your musician friends who also have those skills and do some trade. Like, you know what? I'll give you singing lessons if you do my logo, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good idea. And so where are you, sort of a side question, where are you focused on your community building in the online world, Facebook and anywhere else?
Facebook and Instagram are my two go-tos. I would love to dump Facebook because I'm not a big fan of Mark Zuckerberg, and I think that time might be coming where people just really don't, they don't want to support that platform anymore if they see something better. And there's some things that are popping up that I think are something to consider. Um, but yeah, those are kind of my go-tos, and that's where I get the most traction anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it has a lot to do with where you started and where the
Those are
roots
where
of
my
your
people
tribe are.
are.
Yeah. 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 They probably will follow you most anywhere. So definitely can
Fingers
look, you're looking
crossed,
around.
but I think if your goal is, if your original intentions, because you love music and you know how it is, you got the music bug, you're not gonna not ever do it. You don't
Mm-hmm.
Musicians don't retire. So
Yeah.
you just, you put yourself in a place where you create the best music you can for the rest of your life, and there's always going to be different platforms that come along. Jump on board whichever one speaks to you, or whichever one. I usually kind of ask my friends who are already on those platforms, like, hey, is it working out, or should I
Mm-hmm.
just stay where I'm at? And right now it's been fine, but I don't have a new record coming out yet. So when I do, then I'm going to research which, which platforms are the most banging.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of those can help you with um, funding those things, but you've been in that world though. You've done Indiegogo and some others like that, right?
Yeah. I was just talking to a girlfriend just now about another crowdfunding for her for her upcoming record. And now's the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time. People have, you have people's attention. Now's the time to do stuff like that, really.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, um,
People want to help out of work musicians.
well, yeah, and they miss seeing you work,
Yeah.
in the flesh. So they're like, yeah, this is cool. This one friend of mine, he's was one of my first interviews, and he came back on recently because he's been live streaming, and I thought he was doing a really nice job. He's mostly played covers. He's done some writing. He's a wonderful singer, multi-instrumentalist, and um, when I talked to him briefly about it the first time, I wanted to have him on for this reason, but he said, it was hard, a little weird at first. He goes, but one thing I could kick myself about not doing earlier was getting on like PayPal and Venmo
Oh
for
yeah.
people to be able. And he was telling me on the interview I did how much money he was making in just the first 6 weeks doing these broadcasts, and plus he's connecting with faraway fans, that you just don't get to when all you do is go out and play live.
I've heard
So
that same exact thing from my friends that are playing a lot live. Fans have been extremely generous. And, when COVID hit, I made a post to an Austin music group. I'm like, hey guys, now's the time to get your PayPal Venmo thing together. I mean, Austin is hugely, you get paid on tips a lot here, which has been a real game changer for me.
in a good way.
A hard thing to wrap my head around. No, not a good thing. I don't think. The pay scale here is way different. However, there's a lot more opportunities to play original music. So there's both things here where I don't have to be a cover singer anymore necessarily. I can just do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But Venmo and PayPal have been huge, for a lot of people, and I mean it's increased my revenue by exponentially.
And did you start doing it when you got to Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
I saw money in the gutter, basically, and I was like, "There's a whole generation that doesn't have cash."
Yeah.
Plus, now with COVID, who wants to handle cash? Not me.
Well, like, and how what easier way to send it to you? I mean,
Oh, it's so
here,
easy.
here in Panama, they have an app. I don't know how popular it is, but most people in businesses included, like their merchant processing online completely sucks. Nobody knows how to do a website properly for any credit card companies to deal with it. Most of them do not. And so literally you're like doing bank transfers, which is fine, but it's nowhere near as easy as just picking up your phone and, da, 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 da.
Yep. I know.
So,
I love it.
anyway,
It's so easy. Just like doot doot. And Venmo, they don't take a percentage like
that's
PayPal
nice.
does. So
That's
like
nice.
why wouldn't you want to give people more opportunities to appreciate your hard work?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So on live streaming, I don't know, we might have just covered it, but I guess the only thing is ask you if you agree, or maybe what was going on in your world with live streaming prior to COVID. I mean, I said it was already coming, people were adopting it, but now they're all being thrust into it really hard.
Mm-hmm. And I admire those people that are on it a lot. I've only live streamed twice because I'm not as proficient as on my instrument as I would like. And I put a lot of weight on live stream. What does that mean? If I'm going to live stream, it better mean something. It better be really good. And you know what? Hats off to all the people that are just like, they're just going for it. They're just going for it. That's what you have to do. You just need to go for it. If you
and you
can
can
do it.
Yeah, and you can do even, I know you hold yourself to extremely high standard, but I mean, a live stream doesn't have to be a half hour. It doesn't have to be an hour. It could be 5 minutes, or it could be a couple songs. People love it.
It
So
really
yeah, go
could.
for it.
I know. I need to like take my own advice. It's more that it's fear. It's all fear. Like what if? What if you mess up? Well, you mess up live, so a great opportunity to recover.
Yeah. Well, you'll be helping others, because people, look to you for what's going on and inspiration and all that. So you definitely would be helping others. I mean, since you definitely have a repertoire, I mean, I would just, like we're saying about releasing an album, just talk to your friends that are doing it, and they'll help you out or encourage you. They're just going to tell you to quit sitting around.
Honestly, I don't. Part of me too wants to kind of stay out of the way for the
Don't
people
do it.
for the people who really need this money. Like I am lucky enough that I do have a 9 to 5 job still, and I'm working from home. I'm really, really grateful for that. I mean, had I been a full-time musician like I was 4 years ago, it would be a really, really difficult story here. Really difficult. But I'm
Yeah.
sitting here calmly because I get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yeah, sure.
So I kind of, I kind of feel like I don't want to get in the way of people who really, really need it. And I've been trying to give back where I can. I don't make a lot of money, but I make some if I can, I do. And it's really, really heartbreaking for me to see all these musicians out of work. I mean, it's incredible. Like music is going to be the last thing that opens up. The last thing.
I know, and I'm pessimistic about like what opportunities are gonna. I don't see the live music scene coming back to anything like it was.
Not until we have a vaccine.
And that's not coming in 6 months. I don't
No,
care
it's
what
not.
anybody.
No, you're right. I would love
But
that to be the reality, but it's going to be. And even if they do come up with a vaccine, then there's the, well, is it going to be the right one, or are we going to all turn into zombies, flesh eating zombies?
exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah.
no. So I mean, there's a lot to think about, and I just it's been really heartbreaking to not play music for sure, for sure.
Well, one sector you're leaving out of all of this is that your fans. There are people who would really love to see you. So
Thank
I'll leave it at that.
you.
It's
Thank
true. I mean,
you.
you don't realize until you get out there, I'm sure. Um, and then there's a lot of nuance to building community online and giving of yourself and sustaining that. And then there are these opportunities for teaching. I've seen a lot of people who are teaching inside their, patronage communities and having varying levels of lessons, for instance, and
Hmm.
content that they get access to. Have you touched on that world much outside of what you've described on Facebook?
Well, absolutely. I mean, right now, community building couldn't be more important,
Yeah,
just
just
because of where we're at. And I think
mm,
people are hungry for it. And maybe maybe that's the silver lining with quarantine, is that people couldn't want to be more connected right now.
yeah,
So, engaging is important. And it's also going to help your own. I feel like it's also going to help your own issues with being, you know, locked up for 3 months or however long it's been for you.
yeah. No
And,
kidding.
if you're,
Therapeutic.
or if you're alone, if you're alone, sheltering in place alone, you and I are lucky because we have somebody. But for those people, I have a girlfriend who's alone, and I think it couldn't be more important for people to actually build that community more and more.
Yeah, true. And I hadn't thought about this. Like, I know you haven't seen a draft of my article and it's almost done now, but I'm really focused on how different today's artist is and how different the career path is and how it's going to continue to change and how these opportunities are there. I'm wondering, and maybe you have a thought on this, but I'm wondering, is this going to be of interest to, like, I was going to say aspiring musician, but I mean, what I really mean to say is someone who's maybe aspiring to make a career at it, or maybe aspiring to get their own music out, or is it of interest to the fan who's just like kind of trying to know more about the people that they follow? Like this idea that of doing my version of explaining why it is and all these things, why it is that musicians now are having to know so much more than they did in past years just to have a career,
Hmm.
and why that is significant.
I think that right now what's happening is fans are also learning platforms.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
also learning how to uh,
Work from home.
access platforms so that they can work or so they can be entertained. And
Mm.
that's just our new normal right now. I think that all of these things going forward are going to help a musician. Like, for instance, you need to, if you're writing at home, you're recording at home, you have a career, you can still have a recording career working from home. So you need to, up your skills on how to work GarageBand or whatever platform someone else is doing. So I mean, it's just another way for musicians to evolve and just have more tools in their box. I mean, for someone who wants to be a musician right now, if they're an introvert, might be the perfect time for them. If you just want to sing in front of people, get on live stream,
It's a
because
good
you
point.
will access people that you've never that don't know who you are. People
Yeah.
overseas, or people who couldn't access you in Austin or wherever you are.
It's a
So
great point.
live streaming is actually, and Facebook has really, not just Facebook. I'm not trying to like pump Facebook, but just these platforms have really helped a lot of, from what I'm hearing, a lot of my friends access people that they didn't know that they had.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, I know these people, and that's probably some of who you're thinking of when you say it's breaking your heart about all the musicians out of work. But I exchanged emails over the past 2 days with an artist named Ezra Van Vancil out of
Mm-hmm.
Oak Cliff,
Mm-hmm.
Texas. Sorry, I get mixed up where we met.
It's okay.
San Jose or Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah.
So that's the town where Stevie Ray Vaughan's from,
Yeah.
Oak Cliff. And he's amazing. He's an amazing songwriter. He does a lot of these, folk songwriter festivals, and gets awards all the time. And so he was telling me today. Oh, I was asking him. It looked like he was building a membership community, a patronage community
Mm-hmm.
on Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Bandcamp earlier, and I just asked him, "Hey, how's that going for you?" Because I was thinking I'd use it for the article. And he confessed to me that after he sort of told me what happened, he said, "I'm basically throwing in the towel." He said, "I've had a great run in music, but he said my whole business of music has been playing live."
Yeah.
And he was down in Florida for a festival when the quarantines fell upon us, and it got canceled. And he said, "I'm driving home, I think with his family or something, and no one would let him stop to use the restroom anywhere."
Oh.
I didn't, and I've not heard these stories yet, I guess, and they're just driving. He said it was like a really hard time, but fortunately, okay, he's not completely giving up music, but he has been writing novels all this time that he's never made time to try and publish. So now he's going to work on that. So
our artists, musicians, we're artists, so we're gonna create no matter what that looks like. But I've heard that same sentiment, and I'm glad that you're saying it out loud, because I've actually thought it myself. I mean, my friend Mighty Mike Shermer, that was the first thing he said on my interview with him, is like, you know what? I've been doing this a long time. I've done the big show. I've done the tours. I've done the this, that. I mean, I've seen him, headlining at the New Orleans Jazz Festival. I mean, on the Mercedes stage. I mean, he's done a lot of cool shit. And so he's like, maybe I'm just going to not, worry about climbing the music ladder, and I'll just play in my little town of Truckee. I don't think he'll stop playing. I just think that maybe he'll stop, trying to, climb the ladder so hard. I don't know, but it made me a little bit sad, but I honestly thought it too. Like, oh, I've done a lot. It's really hard work. Not that I'm afraid of hard work, but I'm tired. It's tiring to be a musician. It's tiring.
Yeah.
There's so much to do and learn. And, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I get that guy, but I probably won't quit, but I've thought about it.
It's funny.
It's crossed my mind, like, yeah, maybe.
Well, like you said, we always create. It's funny. I feel like I'm just starting a new leg because of the recording thing. And I had been writing prose for lyrics, for a while, and I picked the guitar back up, and I'm having so much fun recording. And it's funny, I've already done a track for another friend who's quarantined here. And then I'm redoing one with another friend, and it's fun. Anyway, everybody's in different places. I'm going to wrap you up here in a sec. I know we kind of went over time. I apologize.
All good.
Is knowledge of digital distribution still, I mean, it seems obvious it's going to continue to be huge. Has it been like a big thing for you to be preoccupied with, or is it something you think you're going to be preoccupied with if you do another album? Like how to?
That's not my favorite part of the music business. I'll admit it right now. It's not, and all that stuff. I was lucky to get a distribution deal, and it's helped me. So I think that if you're releasing a record, then you should research a distribution deal at this point. I mean, it's basically, if you can find somebody who can get your music out there more than what you can, you should do that.
That's the way to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I weighed the fact when I got this distribution deal, I weighed, well, I could send all those things out myself, or they have a list that's way more, that's been already tested to work, and they did that. So that's basically what it was. And
was that something you got with your last album?
Yeah.
Cool.
So record deals aren't like, being on a label isn't what it used to be, but this was a distribution deal. So that's what helped me.
Sure.
The thing is like, I don't know that my next record is even going to be under a blues umbrella though. So I don't know that I can go back to them.
Yeah.
And with a smile on my face, like, it's a blues record. It probably won't be one. That's just where it's going. That's just
That's
where it's
okay.
going.
You just might have to work on distribution yourself or find a new
That's it.
partner.
Yeah, that's fine. And that's okay. You know, that'll
Yep.
be that's where the hard work comes in. Like the music part, that's joy, but the other distributions that finding that the business part's hard, but that's
Yeah.
where you lean on friends and you get to be part of groups that can give you advice.
Yeah. So the last one is, and I guess I'll just kind of tell you about where the thought started, and maybe just for a sec about what I picked up from one or more of the people I've talked to, and then just want you to add your thoughts if you have any. So I've been talking about the arc of a music career, that it's kind of broader and taller, I suppose, because we've been talking about all these things we have to at some point understand. I mean, we may not have to do it, but we need to understand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And probably we're going to have to do it for a while to really understand it. But with that, and especially with, I heard this, I've heard this story a couple times from a guy who spent the better part of 20 years producing in LA, and has a pretty good resume. And he, before, pre-COVID, he decided he was going to focus on creating his own music and just, pivot, I guess. He lives in Malta. I forget exactly. I think it's because his partner, I think it's because his girlfriend is from there. And so he lives on the tiny island of Malta. But
Wow.
what he said then and what he said, I spoke to him again in the last week. And what he has said is like, initially he was just talking about learning social media and marketing because he didn't understand these things. So he went out and learned them. And he said the one thing that's weird about it, or fun about it, is that I now have all these opportunities to connect with people I could have never connected with before, like all over the world.
Yeah.
And so he sort of had uh, a refreshed version of that when we spoke earlier this week. And he was just saying that, we're kind of afforded all these opportunities, even now, amidst this weird crisis we're in, all these opportunities to connect with people and do things. He's working on launching a course for music production, and not so possible for him in the 90s,
Right.
or whenever. So
Yeah.
do you have thoughts on that? And you've seen, as have I, a lot of things happen both technologically and just industry wise.
Well, here's the good thing about this is that we have time to figure these things out. So I think that right now, if you're a musician trying to make a go of it, then you learn as much as you can about technology, about marketing, about you like use this time to learn the business and write music, should that be what you want to do, but use this time to figure those things out because it's not going to be forever. We will get back to playing, but you probably have a good year, 9 months to really figure some stuff out and see, look at who is doing well and what they're doing and mirror that path, or but now's I think a time to like, maybe you should get your sole proprietorship so that you can, when the government says we have money for you, you'll have your paperwork in order, because how many musicians couldn't get unemployment? A bunch. A
Yeah.
lot, because they didn't have their shit together. So this is the time to like to answer those questions, really.
Yeah. A time to prepare, huh?
A time to prepare, whether it be to get back into playing live, or whether it be learning the business so that when you are live and you do launch an album, like make an album maybe during quarantine, and then take the time that you need because you're not playing a live gig, 3 gigs in a night, to figure out what your marketing strategy is going to be. And we do have a bazillion tools, a lot. It's overwhelming, really. We have a lot of
It
tools at our
is.
fingertips, tons.
Yeah.
And so learning how algorithms work, learning how hashtag works, because I don't know how many people I see on Instagram that don't hashtag their content. And guess what? It's just going to sit there like a lame duck. You got to
Yeah.
hashtag it.
You gotta hashtag it.
Yeah, you got to hashtag it. And people don't understand what a hashtag is.
Yeah.
So they don't understand how that actually opens up a tunnel of communication to other people who like what you like.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's those little things that will help a musician. And once you get those tools, if you can get those tools, once you learn or understand these tools, you're going to be better off for it.
Yes, indeed.
Does that answer your
Well,
question?
yeah. And I was gonna say, I know my thoughts and the way I was trying to goat you into conversation on these things was a little roundabout, and I probably realized that the last two calls, and I've been trying to change it up. So you sort of got a new version of it, which was still kind of tough, but I appreciate it. It's good stuff, and I got it on tape, baby. So
Yeah.
we may throw this on a podcast episode.
Hey, I'm just making it up. I'm just making it up, and I'm trying not to lose, my love for music. And I've found a new love in music, and that's writing, which I didn't think I
Yeah.
could do that well before, but it turns out I'm actually okay at it. Even 6 albums in, I could, I'm like, I'm getting better.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Here I've written one song I'm happy with, and was pleased that I actually shared it with someone that I wanted to play guitars for me on it. And it just so happens he's an engineer and quite a good one. And he liked it. So I'm like, okay, it'll be awesome if I can do that again.
Hey, you know what? And just know that not everyone's going to like your stuff. It's like, it's art. So just, I wouldn't even think about if people like it or not. That's exactly what I've been doing. Like, you know what? This is not your stamp on the world. It's a song. And you're going to have many songs. You're going to have many songs that you're going to write. This is your first song?
Not ever, but like this is the first time I'm ever I'm endeavoring to release a professionally done single. Yeah.
That's exciting. What's it called?
On Top of the World.
And the genre?
It's pretty rock. It's pretty rock.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. I hope you share it.
I absolutely will. It's I wanted it when I wrote the guitar melody. I was thinking I kind of wish for this to sound a little like Pete Townsend on Who's Next, playing the guitar the way he did. And I thought I would play drums like that. So it sort of ended up somewhere between that and like Tom Petty, I think.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that awesome how it evolves though? And it takes a turn this way and that way. And that's what's
for various reasons.
Yeah. That's cool though. Yeah. Are you going to use it to like cue your podcast up? You should play it in the background. Like
I'll definitely feature it on an episode, but I've had theme music for the podcast. I'm actually contemplating redoing that, but I think I'll just put it out as a single and have a version that if anybody ever wants to license it, maybe it'll be there. And so hopefully I'll do some more.
What I started doing with my original music is I've been making videos of me cooking my favorite food and putting my own music behind the video. And then it's like a sped up version of how Lara makes salsa, or how I make my guacamole, or how I make this, which is my other love, of course, is cooking. So I've been just kind of marrying my two loves during quarantine to just keep my creative spirit alive.
Are you putting those on Facebook?
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
There's a guacamole one, a salsa one, and like there's one. I wrote my first reggae song, and I do like a little scone thing. But I've just been kind of like messing around with visual art, audio art, and edible art.
I love it.
Marrying them all at once.
I love it. I am gonna check it out. It's funny. I saw a country artist that's been on the podcast, a young woman who it looked like, so she had a video where she's cooking, but it looked like she's about to make a move into the lifestyle videos with her music. So I'm kind of curious to see if she's going to do that, like maybe she's going to get away from, it's a perfect time, right? Maybe she's going to get away from trying to make it in Nashville in the country scene so much and create like cooking content, with her music that she writes herself.
Perfect. So. Yeah. And why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Just put it out there. Why not? It's fun. Especially if you're having fun, like put it out there.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to check one out. I may have questions for you when I see it.
Okay.
Like, what the hell is that you put in your guac? I'm just kidding. Now I'll be like, what kind of camera you got there?
What kind of guac is that? It's like, it's mine.
I love it. Hey, it's great to see your face. It's
you too.
I don't usually do, even though I've been using Zoom a lot, I've not been doing the video thing because I'm not trusting that the bandwidth is going to be good on both sides. But other than your squiggly picture, it was good.
Hey, are you guys still sheltering in place, by the way?
Yeah, we're like under super strict quarantine. Now, fortunately for us, because of where we live, we can actually get out and move around, but we're not even supposed to be out of doors except for like 2 hours a day, 3 days a week, not on the same day. Wow. Men on one day, women on the other. And
wow. Is it helping? The curve?
Well, yeah, but they opened it up for a week because they got the numbers down where they wanted, and it only took a week for them to say, "Okay, we're going to re-implement it."
Yeah.
And and I'm wondering if long term Panama has the wherewithal to do what it takes to get it under good control. And I wonder the same thing about the United States.
Yeah, Texas is rising right now. We're in a world of shit.
Well, and it's so scary the stories I'm hearing. My little brother said Broadway in Nashville was just packed. The bars were packed, and
Well,
nobody's wearing masks, and they're just partying. And
that's what's happening in Austin.
yeah,
All over
it's not.
Texas, really, all over Texas. There's a lot of COVID deniers here too, though, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, no,
It doesn't,
no. It's
and when people feel like, oh, if they put a mask on, it makes a political statement. That doesn't help.
mm-mm,
And so
no,
we're dealing with a lot of people that don't, for whatever reason, want to believe science.
too much bullshit available for people to
Yeah, that's where
put their
that's
faith
where
in.
that's where internet and social media could
And
use
cable
some.
news.
Yeah, I mean, 24/7 of, pounding home these things that are fairy tales.
It's a very complicated problem, which I think
Oh
is
yeah,
what
it is.
really eludes most people. It's
Yeah.
not, but we're such a society of it's black or white. No matter what the issue,
Mhm.
you're either this or you're that, and
Mhm.
the issue is this or that, and there's no in
Mhm.
between. And that's just not how life actually is.
Right. And
Other
that's
than
and that and,
politically.
well, and it's funny that you say black and white because now that other piece is on top of COVID.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
been it's been, it's been deep and painful and, that's I know some really, really great songs are gonna come out of this with all this,
Tension.
pressure
Yeah.
and tension and artists, there's gonna be some really great art that comes out of it.
I think so. How long does it take you to has it taken you to write and record like a single in the past? You've done it a lot of times, I imagine.
Well, it could take an hour or it could take, weeks depending on
No, but
how the flow.
I mean, writing and recording, and it's
Oh,
out there in the world.
well, I did a little mini song that was a minute 20. I did it on GarageBand and I started writing it yesterday and it's out today. But that was just me banging out a song and for a fan about a friend of his.
What about
Um,
a song that you released that had a video and the full thing behind it?
it really just depends
Yeah, months though, right?
what the flow is.
Yeah.
It depends on. Now I think you can do videos so easily. I do videos on my phone all the time.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
now people are kind of so used to seeing that kind of perspective that it's really easy. And iMovie is awesome.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things with. So I don't know what kind of video you're talking about, like a live performance and then accused like to the person looking off in the distance. Is that what kind of video you're talking about?
Well, I guess it's all relative to the
Yeah, like
person
what
I'm
kind of
asking
video
you.
you want?
Well, I want to
Yeah.
make, I want to have something artistic to go with the song, but
Mhm.
I don't know yet what
Yeah, it
that's going to look
depends.
like.
Yeah, depends what your
And
vision is, man.
I'm asking, because I'm looking at the time that's elapsing to do this one song, and there are all these logistics things that exist in our world, and I was just curious. So I imagine it varies though for different people. Some people are probably really prolific in every component of their songwriting lives, and others, and at different times in their lives, probably.
Mhm.
I think that's what you're trying to say. Sometimes it happens faster than others,
Yeah,
and it depends on what you're trying to do.
yeah. Well, to me, also, what also is the factor there is what tools do you have? So if you have a date to get it out, like you've told yourself accountable. Let's say you want to have this thing out in a month or whatever. Then you try to then you lean on the tools that you can do that the fastest with. So for me, if
Makes
I want to
sense.
get something out tomorrow, then I'm going to use my phone. I'm going to use this. But you have the luxury of time. Then sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad because then it could just be like nowhere spills the date. So you should
Yeah.
probably set a goal and then just do it then.
Yeah.
That's my
I've been setting goals to, like, I want to have the drums tracked by this day, and now I'm on the getting the vocals retracked,
mhm.
and then I'm sort of at the mercy of some people. So
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to take that in consideration or you just learn to do it yourself. somehow.
Some of it.
Some of it.
I'm not going to learn to play a solo or, on guitar, well enough anytime soon.
Right.
That'll delay it further.
Luckily, you have technology on your side and you can email someone and say, hey, track this.
Yeah. Well, hey, I can always call Kid and pay him to put a solo. No, I have one, which is great. And it may get retracked, but yeah, there are plenty of people I can call and say, hey, you want to make a few bucks? I need a solo on this.
Well, and there's a lot of people that want to make a few bucks, so you'd be contributing.
Yeah. For sure.
Helping people out. So
for sure. Well, thanks for the encouragement, and thank you for spending time with me.
Of course. Great to see you again. You look great. And
like my COVID hair?
Yeah. I mean,
longer.
I know. Everyone's saying that. We're going to come out.
I decided I'm going to let it be long. I'm actually going to get it cut like the second time, but it's been pretty short for a long time. So.
Yeah. Hey, if you got
it's
the
nice
rug,
to have hair.
if you got exactly.
If you got the rug.
If you got the rug, you might as well just rock the rug.
Exactly.
Yeah, do it.
All right. Have a nice night.
Yep. You too. Bye. Take care.
This episode was powered by ConvertKit. More than just an email marketing company, ConvertKit is focused on landing pages too, giving beginner creators everything they need to start building their email list. I've been a ConvertKit user since early 2016, and I love it. Their new free plan allows creators to make unlimited landing pages and forms. With ConvertKit, you can choose from multiple templates, add personalization and design, include an incentive email, create thank you pages, manage subscribers, and send broadcast emails. The support and educational resources offered by ConvertKit are top-notch too. That's important to me. It should be to you as well. To learn how ConvertKit can help you connect with your audience so that you can make a living doing the work you love, go to unstarvingmusician.com/convert or look for the link in the show notes for this episode. This episode was powered by Bandzoogle, the easiest all-in-one professional website platform for musicians and bands. Two things that will help ensure you're in control of your music business and your fan-based community are a website and an email list. Bandzoogle can help you do both. Plus, a solid website makes you look legitimate. Serious musicians, singers, songwriters, composers, and performers know this to be true. If you don't yet have your own website, check out Bandzoogle. It was created by musicians for musicians. I use it and I love it. It's as easy to use gets, and you don't have to worry about plugin updates and security patches. Bandzoogle takes care of all that for you. The features and support are both incredible. See for yourself. Go to bandzoogle.com to start a 30-day free trial and use the promo code ROBONZO to get 15% off your first year. Plans start at just $8.29 a month. That's bandzoogle.com, promo code ROBONZO, ROBONZO, to start your free trial today. If you have feedback, questions, comments, suggestions about the podcast, my guests, me, please visit unstarvingmusician.com/feedback. You can leave me a quick voicemail right there on that page, right from your browser. All my other contact info is there too, and I'd love to hear from you. Find links for just about everything talked about in this episode at unstarvingmusician.com/podcast. Thank you for listening and sharing with your friends. Peace, gratitude, and a whole lot of love.